Welcome to Essence of the Tree. My name is Tricia Smyth. We're here to share the experience of root pruning with you. We're here in Mill Valley, California, in Pete's garden, and Pete has a wonderful collection of maples and recently acquired a beautiful Azuma Murasaki from Essence of the Tree. And the tree's ready to be root pruned. So we're going to look at this as an opportunity to show you that it's not a scary experience. It's a straightforward, step-by-step process that will help the tree to stay in the same container for its entire life. During the process of root pruning, we will be using a few tools, and I thought I'd introduce these tools to you. First, we use the concave cutters, which are wonderful for getting into exactly the right place when you need to make a cut. The garden cut shears, which are that sharp point that will make the finer cuts. And of course we have the silky pocket boy saws that will take off the heavier roots and branches. After we've done our root pruning, we're going to be drenching the tree with Super Thrive to stimulate growth, new root growth. I also recommend using a Phyton 27 drench at the same time we use the Super Thrive. This is a bactericide, fungicide that will add a level of protection against the possibility of infection on those open cuts. We also have Phytech 50, which is a cut paste that will seal the wounds and protect from infection from the open wounds when we do our infection pruning. So let's get to work. Root pruning needs to be done in dormancy and really about 3 to 4 weeks prior to bud break. That's the time of period that's just before a period of root growth that comes prior to emergence. That means that the tree has the opportunity to regrow those roots before there's any demand on the root system. We're pruning here in Mill Valley in February. We've chosen, luckily, this tree is planted in a wonderful container that's the perfect proportion and for working with the roots. You can see that the container is widest point is at the top of the container, which means that it'll be easy for us to remove the tree. You can also see, if you may not be aware, but this is a polyethylene bowl, which means that although we are dealing with considerable weight with the container, with the tree and the soil, the container is not an issue. We don't need to worry about breaking the container, and we won't be having to deal with the weight of the stone. So let's see what we've got here. First thing we want to do is to come out. We're going to break apart the edges, the roots from the edges of the bowl. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently lay this tree over on its side, and that will give me the opportunity to pull the tree or pull the container off of the tree. And I do emphasize that what you really want to do is to take the container off the tree, not pull the tree. So now you can see we have a really compact root ball and some pretty serious woody roots on this tree. So I am going to go ahead and lay it over. Debbie, if you wouldn't mind just holding her right there. Yeah. And I recommend when you have a root ball like this that's so tight and the soil is so compact that we use water to just blow it out. And we've set ourselves up here with the tarp so that the water will flow out and get out of our way. And then we can see what the root system is that we need to prune out. Uh-oh. What happened?
What?
Yeah, looks like, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit time consuming. We'll probably fast forward to the finished product. So what we've done here is we've removed all of the old tired soil off of this root ball without damaging any of the roots. The soil at this point is completely exhausted. There's no nutritional value to the soil. The texture of the soil is gone. We've lost any air content. So by removing all the old soil, we can see the roots that need to be removed, as well as completely replacing new soil around the entire root ball. So be sure to pay special attention to the underneath here. It's very compact. From here, we're going to have to start getting out some tools and cut some roots. Okay, so what we have here, I have my claw. I love this claw. It's very pointed and many teeth. And then I also have my Felcos. These Felcos, you're going to want a pair that you're not going to worry about. The blades are going to be duller when you get done, but because we're going to go into these roots and start cutting roots out. Now these are the fibrous roots, but they're old roots. So what we're going to do, when you root prune, you never want to take more than a third. Never take more than a third of the root ball at any given time. And that's about what we're going to look at here. What we see are just roots. We've taken away the old soil, so we really have a good idea of what we're working with. First thing I want to do is I'm going to look at the top. Here we go. All of these woody roots. Now at the end of them, sure, there's some really nice fibrous roots, but we're going to take out some of this, if nothing else, to make beautify the nabari on this root on the crown of the tree. So first things, and big woody roots. This root here is beginning to girdle. You definitely want to get anything that's going to be crossing over like this. And I'm going to take it from here first because I know I can get a good cut. And then I'm going to come back here. There we go. I'm going to have to come at that with my concave cutters. Now these are my mother's nice stainless steel concave cutters. We have some beautiful professional quality on the website though. Okay, we want this to be pretty. And this is where the soil meets. There we go. There we go. Ah, perfect. There you go. So I'm just going to keep on. You can see the choices I'm making have to do with the wood. Now the soil compacted here and it's all the way down to here. We're going to be planting up to here. So it's been about 5 years since this has been root pruned. Yeah. Vigorous. You know, it's important. People are always afraid of root pruning, and honestly, the tree benefits hugely. These woody roots are not what provide any nutrition to the tree. It's the fibrous roots. When you cut a root begins to grow. So the first thing we're doing is just working on the top here. Then we're going to go around the outside, and we're going to go underneath and just take off a layer on the outside. Good. I feel pretty good about that. We're planting to here. So that will give, all of this will stimulate new root growth right out at the crown of the tree, which is going to beef up the girth of the tree too. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and pull this out. See these? Watch your fingers. The anchor roots, the roots grow out and long in order to anchor the tree. The feeder roots come off of the new tissue that comes out. So what you're doing is the same as when you prune on top. You're stimulating new growth. Now, there is some reduction here as well. So that's why it's generally a good idea to do any top reduction off of the crown at the same time that you do the reduction off of the roots. And I'm not really taking that much off. The biggest part of just even providing all new soil, nutrient-rich soil, is going to really help. But root reduction helps to control growth. Grab my claw again because I can feel there's some places that these roots are twisted completely around and gone back in. And what'll happen is the roots will hit the side of the pot and then turn back in on themselves, which is really, that means you've really got to work at getting them out. And hopefully, I mean, ideally, root pruning happens, especially if you have a tree and the tree's already the size you want it to be, then root pruning should happen before you hit root bound. It should be when the roots are full, then you reduce the size, the root ball. It's controlling the size of the tree that way.
So a tree this size, maybe every 3-4 years?
Every 3 or 4, well, and not, maybe every 3 or 4 years. It may be not even that. This tree has hit maturity. The first 10 years they grow up much more vigorously, and it's just their youth. And after 10 years there's less growth hormones, they're growing more slowly. So that as a younger tree will need to be root pruned and reduction pruned more often in order to maintain size. But this tree is well over 10 years old. So when we look at the diameter of the pot that we're going into, the diameter of the pot is a 33-inch pot. So we've got a good 5 inches on each side of this for roots to grow. What's going to happen here is each one of these is going to continue to grow out new roots. Each one of these places where we've cut. Where the roots are circling back in is what I'm really trying to get a hold of. And I want to get some off of the bottom too. So the next thing we're going to do is to tip this little girl over and work on the underside of this root ball. Now this is not going to be pretty because it is a mass here. So we're going to work it over to really pull this loose. Really, by tearing these, I'm not able to even get in here and cut. I'd have to use a saw, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm gonna completely, I'm pulling these to break roots and stimulate new root growth on the bottom because we're gonna put a good 4 or 5 inches of soil on the bottom of this, and that we want those roots especially to take off. Pulling it loose.
Yeah.
All right, I think. Okay, now we've gotten in. I can see more, and I'm going to cut. I'm going to blow out more of the soil on the bottom, so I can get more of these roots on the bottom now that I've opened it up a little bit more. Do you see? We're pretty close to there. I'm going to take one last look through here for any large woody roots that really are going to serve no use to the plant in such a limited growing space, and make sure that all the roots that are there are going to be productive. And this underneath was where I didn't get to get as much as I'd like, but it's grown completely splayed out on the base of that planter. So the main thing is that this is all loosened up and opened up so that we'll get new root growth on the bottom. I don't want them to grow in like this. I want it to grow, the roots to grow from the bottom down, rather than these just coming in and taking over the bottom of it. There's a lot of good broken roots in here that'll bring on new root growth, so that's what I'm after. Yep, there's one woody root there that I wish I could get out. All right, I'm gonna go after it. Okay, there it is. Like that sound?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to cut it out. I always try and pull them out, but this one's just too compacted to be able. They're wrapped up tight. But that's what I was after, right there, because it's pulling back up in. Okay, let's plant the girl. Give her some new soil. Okay. And we're going back into the same container, correct? Very good. Get rid of the old soil. And you can take a look at, for a point of reference, these are the roots that we took out. So about, probably even a little less than a third. But we did remove all of the old soil. But as I said, never more than a third of the root mass. So we're definitely going to need to put a layer of soil in the bottom, and we want to have this tree, it's a heavy tree, so we don't want to pick it up more than once. So I'm going to use the bamboo to figure out what the depth of the tree is, which is, I'll be planting this, the tree is about this depth, and the pot being about that depth. So I'm going to need to put about 3 inches of soil in the bottom of that container so that it'll come up to the right height. I love the look of the crown, the flare of the crown of the tree coming out of the pot. The soil I use is, we've mixed this here at the nursery, 5 parts fir bark, 1 part pumice. The fir bark is a mix of 1/4 inch to fines, but you can see it's a very, very loose soil, a lot of air. The fir bark maintains an acid, maintains the acidity, which maples do need, an acid soil mix. We also have a premix in this soil that provides a good nutrient. It's primarily crab meal. Are we ready? Perfect. We can double check that with our bamboo. Just a little bit raised. Is that okay with you, Pete? Okay. You what? Oh yeah, protect the camera. That's the main thing. You might want to step under an awning for a minute and let this pass. Okay, we've placed the tree in the container, and we've elected to show off this beautiful flared trunk line. So it's sitting a little bit higher than it could. We could plant it a little bit lower, but I really love this trunk line, so that's where we're going to. And it is a round container. It's an upright tree. I'm choosing to center it right in the center of the tree. And it looks like this is about right. Okay. Now, see if that'll hold it. Oh, perfect. Okay, looks good.
Yeah.
Looks good to me. Okay, we're going to fill it up, and then I'm going to start packing it in. I am kind of packing this, and I'm going to water it in thoroughly before I use any Super Thrive or anything to try and push that air out of the roots and the soil around it. And then finally, at the end, we're going to drench the root system with the with the Super Thrive and the Phytech 50. Okay, we're going to start there and use the water pressure again to push the soil in between those roots. Okay, we've saturated the soil, pushed all the air out, and pushed the soil with water into the roots, and it settled a bit, so we're going to top this off, and it'll continue to settle. We're going to add a few shovels full of soil to top it off, and over the next couple of months, it will settle more, and you'll want to add more soil. Right. So that's root pruning. Now when you root prune, that is the best time to, it's also the right time of year, and it's the best time to do any reduction pruning that you need to do. So we've already considered this, and you can see on the tree some cuts that we've decided beforehand. I'm going to use my concave branch cutters. We showed those to you in the beginning. Concave branch cutters give you the perfect access to exactly where you want to cut for a good clean cut. I like this branch, just going to go. And then here, this branch is competing with this branch here, and this will create a good movement on this branch over here to continue on up. Anytime you're pruning, it's always prudent to use cut paste on your wounds. We use Phytech 50. It's a wonderful cut paste, primarily beeswax. I love it because it's pretty. You don't have to look at some ugly gray, but also it has some good properties of antibiotic properties that will keep infection, and it stays there for a few years. So anytime when you put it on your cuts, I'm looking for my cuts now. Here they are. They were good cuts. I can't even see where I made them. Cut paste and is easy and malleable. You may have to warm it up depending on your air temperature, but it'll stay on this wound until it's completely healed over. I oftentimes through the summer will be working with trees and find see cuts that need to be made, and I'll use the green tie tape so that I don't have to remember when I come back which cuts I'd already decided. And there it is. So there may be some more cuts, but those are the most important. There was one cut here, definitely. This is some pretty vigorous growth that needs to go. There you go. Open up, nice open space. Open space is always important. Now there is just a little cleanup work to do where some cuts were made without the finished work. Set. So she's lovely, eh? Don't you think? Mm-hmm. Ready for another 3 or 4 years at least. After you've finished root pruning and you have saturated the roots with water and eliminated the air pockets with a good steady stream of water, we've let this tree, the soil settle out and the water drain out. Now we're ready to treat it. I'm using treated mixture with Super Thrive. It's at about a 1/4 teaspoon per gallon. And also, as I mentioned earlier, the Phyton 27 broad spectrum bactericide fungicide that will help to eliminate the possibility of any infection in those open wounds as they heal and produce new roots. And also just a dose of Dynagrow, which is a good mild overall fertilizer that's readily available to the tree. Okay, so I've already mixed it up in these 5-gallon buckets, and we're going to probably about 5 gallons is what I'm going to need for this tree, this size, to give you some idea. There you go. And I made sure to concentrate this right where the root system is. That's what I'm after. Okay, so there you have it. We'll hope you give us a call if you have any questions. Essence of the Tree, 888-489-1886. And you can also call us at essenceofthetree.com. Find us on the internet. And we want to thank Pete for inviting us into his garden and allowing us to share this beautiful tree with the maple community. Thank you. Bye-bye.